version?
It's all
I can go quick.
It's all good.
All right. Okay, another chapter of white guy talking about mammography screening disparities. But you guys know that, so bear with me. And I'm not sure about WEBAT, but we tried to make the acronym work because we know how we love acronyms. So it's all right. And I don't have to introduce a team because I did all this work myself. Ken, Ruth, stand up, Linda. Mary Beth Koss was here earlier, not here now. And then our Becky Anderson was a part of the group, and then our wonderful community advisors, Ida and Kazua. So they were wonderful to work with as well. Our aim was to increase the screening mammography rates for the Hmong and Somali patients. And you'll hear as I talk a little bit, our experience really for this project is focused mostly on the Hmong population. And we hope to bring the experience we've learned and one of the tactics we've used to the Somali or East African patient population. And our aim was not numerical in nature. It was really to identify what outreach strategies might help us do this. How could we increase breast cancer awareness and decrease some of the barriers for these women getting their screening mammograms? So that was really our goal. And I'll just say as we worked through the project, there were probably 5 key things that happened to us. I mean, there was a lot of work in between. But I think that initial kickoff meeting with the community advisors was really eye-opening and mind-opening for us. And what I mean by that, and it's been said today, is in healthcare we tend to jump to solutions. We want to fix problems. We want to do it quickly. And we really learned from these community advisors, first understand our beliefs, our values, our perceptions of care, preventative care, cancer, mammography. Understand those things, and then let's talk about ways that you can outreach to the community or potentially encourage women to come in and get those screening services done. So that was key. A next step was we met with the MDH and SAGE program staff. There's people out there who have already been looking at this issue. We're doing a great job, but there's other people doing great work. And these people had done an extensive survey at the Hmong marketplace about people's perceptions about getting screening services, and they shared that survey information with us and suggested, here's some things we could do as an organization. Think about this differently. So they were already out there doing some of this work. So I guess one thing I'd suggest is reach out outside the organization and get other people's skill sets and experiences involved. The third thing was similar to the colon group. We had our community advisors actually walk through the mammography experience at our Riverside clinic. Tell us what you feel at each step of the way. How could we do things differently? And we learned some interesting things from that, and you'll see a couple of those things, but it really helped us rethink kind of what the experience is from the perspective of a Somali patient or a Hmong patient as they go through this process. Those 3 things led us to the next 2 things that I think were major things. We held a Hmong mammography screening event in October at our St. Paul clinic on the weekend on a Saturday morning. And then we repeated a Hmong mammography screening event during the weekday, same location, St. Paul clinic, and dedicated that half day to bringing Hmong women in who were overdue or due for their mammograms and doing a focus group with them, but they also came in to get their mammograms done. So they really were helping us learn even further about how we reach out to the community. So some of the learnings from doing this work, we need to do more education. We need to get out in the community, figure out ways to reach out beyond our walls and do more education. We need to acknowledge that there's real worries about finances, coverage worries, helping them understand the cost of coming in to do this or their insurance. And we have the resources to do it. It's just connecting those people with the community. How do we utilize, I think this was brought up in another presentation, but Hmong Radio, for instance, is a terrific vehicle. How do we engage maybe our marketing, our corporate communications to help us think of ways to use other vehicles, other ways to get our message and education out there? I think that's key. How do we target information to some of the adult children of older Hmong patients? And you might even suggest this for other cultures, but we really learned this in the Hmong community. When we did some of the outreach, we had adult children talking to their older Hmong patients or parents about the importance of this and doing some education. So how do we educate through the family and how do we reach some of these patients that maybe don't listen to our messages. So. And I want to say, I think Linda put in 4 slides of successes. We had challenges, so don't think it went great. I mean, it went great, but we did have some challenges too. So what we learned from doing these Hmong-specific mammography screening days, same as it is for us. Weekdays potentially are the best for clinic visits. We had the Saturday clinic that we didn't get as quite a good response rate or show rate for, which you'll see. But they were busy on the weekends. They had a lot of family functions, other things going on. Well, we had a lot of people schedule for it. We had a lot of people late cancel for it or no-show for it. So incentives do help. The health plan does incentives around mammography screening. We gave out gift cards through a grant through the EBAN grant, which was wonderful. We got some money to help us put on these Hmong mammography events. And it was just a simple $20 gift card, and really what it was given for is as a token for their participation in a focus group. So when they came to these Hmong mammography events, we had a wonderful Hmong physician, Sherry Vang from Midway Clinic, sit down with the patients, ask them questions about how we could do a better job educating and outreaching to the community. But we provided transportation for them to get to this so they could be part of the focus group. In addition, they got their mammogram done that day. Hmong-speaking staff are highly valued. I don't think I'm telling anybody here anything new, but if we can have staff in our clinics that reflect the communities, what a wonderful resource. And how do we pull people, maybe, as we did with this Hmong mammography day at St. Paul Clinic, we pulled staff over from the Midway Clinic to help with that. Let's get our staff moving around the system, think of different ways to use our staff. I'd also be remiss if I didn't acknowledge Sydney and the interpreters. I know they've been acknowledged today, but they partnered with us on this, and we couldn't do it without them. One thing we learned was exam room curtains, just something simple. When they're in there with an interpreter, a lot of times it's a very sensitive, personal thing, and just something simple as having an interpreter behind a curtain in the room made them feel better. And then accommodate family and friends that might be coming with them. Here's the October event, and these aren't huge numbers, but what I encourage you to think about is how could we spread this to other clinics? Because it isn't rocket science to do one of these events, and actually now that we've done 2, the group thinks it has it pretty much down. We're going to do a Somali East African event at the Riverside Clinic, and Fozia Brar is going to help us with that as a physician. But we had 9 women scheduled for the October event and had 4 of them show. This again was the Saturday. It was discouraging for us, but we sort of didn't lose hope from that. We said, let's put it on a weekday, let's do the gift card thing, let's think of some other things that might entice patients to come. We had a January event just a few weeks ago at the St. Paul Clinic. We had 12 women scheduled, and 9 of them show up for their mammograms. And I look at this and think, we had 9 women come one day, 4 women come another day. Maybe those women wouldn't have had their screening mammogram. So whether it was 1, 9, or 100, I think it's worth the time and effort to do it, especially if we can do it during our normal clinic days. Connections we made, I think we made some connections certainly through our community advisors and frankly with our patients. We were learning from them. We used our Hmong clinic staff again and providers. I mentioned Sherry coming over, our Hmong interpreters. We had a Hmong rooming nurse from Midway Clinic who came over and helped us with the focus groups. I think this third bullet is key. As all of you have done this work, I'm amazed by some of the passion in this organization around some of these issues. And all you have to do is ask. So when people hear about what you're doing, they'll participate. So I encourage you in any of these projects as you go forward, get it out there and ask, because people want to help and they feel good about the work, this type of work. And then I mentioned the MDH and SAGE program staff. They were wonderful to meet with. It was one meeting, but they gave us a vast amount of knowledge, I think, just from this survey that they did, and didn't have us start at sort of ground zero trying to figure everything out. Sustainability of this, I'd love to see us further expand how we outreach, not only to the Hmong community, but any of our various cultural communities. How do we get outside these walls again and reach out to the community? I think we can do a better job about that. I mentioned we're going to begin the same process and hold a mammography screening day specific to East African communities at the Riverside Clinic. I think we're shooting for that March, something like that. Some of the challenges, so we did have challenges. Certainly resources, people's time, some of the outreach that calling takes a little bit of time to the staff. And then how do we maintain some of this information exchange, the learnings between different people, different programs, and then if we spread this to other clinics, how do we kind of convey the process for this? I think, again, we have it kind of down. We know how to pull our due and overdue or at-risk lists by language. We have that nailed now, so we can do that very easily. What it takes at a clinic is somebody willing to do that outreach in a clinic to host an event like this. But I think it makes some sense to think about how would we do not just mammography, but how might we do other screening days or half days at some of our key clinics where we think we could pull patients in. And the nice thing about it is you utilize interpreter staff very efficiently, so you can bring them there for a certain language. They're there and available. We might bring, again, staff from other clinics that speak the language. So it's just something that I think that we can spread. And I think it doesn't take a lot of effort necessarily from that local clinic. Love to use more local media and how we outreach to the community. Get out to the community gathering places. We felt like we should have been doing more of this as part of the MAMO group, and I think we need to go there. I think there's a lot more we can do as far as that. And then how do we consider taking what we do in EBAN and embedding it in just what we do as the organization? Because I think having community leaders, community advisors, part of any process where we think about care is invaluable. And we should probably think about how do we carry this EBAN concept of an advisor forward, because I thought it was invaluable. I'd probably be remiss too if I didn't mention the mammography group has been together for 3 years now. Some of the initial things we've done are around outreach calling to our at-risk patients and instituting same-day mammograms. And so Ken gave me some numbers right before I came up here. But last year we did 10,000 calls, over 10,000 outreach calls. We did almost 6,000 same-day mammograms in the HPMG system.